Hey ladies and gents, this is Isidore coming to you with another Mythic Legions review. This is the Mythic Legions Elf Ranger. Don't have any sort of bio for this guy on the package. So he's a mysterious figure. I know he was one that the fans were really demanding during the fan votes on the boards when we were creating the fan requested figure of Ravenna. She won out, obviously, but everybody was super happy to get this Elf Ranger figure. And here he is, and let me take a look at him. First of all, let me do a bit of housekeeping. I'm going to go back in time and talk about the Ravenna figure. Not the Ravenna figure, the As a Spirit Bender figure. Because when I was doing that review, which you haven't seen yet, but you will see after this review, I accidentally forgot to include an accessory and show you an accessory. It's this sort of what I'm calling like a scythe sword. Gold, curved, and very cool. I don't know how that got left in the package. And then, you know, she also has that mace mage staff. So anyway, sorry to get that bit of housekeeping out of the way, but I hate when I screw up and leave an accessory out of the review. So back to Elf Ranger. Let me tell you, I've been experimenting with the capes in this line, and the capes are a sort of, I love them, but they're frustrating at the same time because the Four Horsemen don't put any sort of instructions in the package telling you what is the right way to put a cape together. And I'm telling you, I think I've done 4 different videos with 4 different ways that you can use to configure a cape on a figure, but there are endless possibilities. It's just mind-boggling. So I've just been messing with them, and this is my latest configuration, which ends up giving him sort of like a cloak. So it doubles sort of as a cape and a cloak. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I'm not going to tell you exactly how I did it because I was futzing around with the way to make the cape shorter. And I just sort of lucked into this configuration, and I don't want to take it apart because I think it looks good. So you guys are just going to have to figure it out. But trust me, there are a million different ways to configure a cape. And it is frustrating not knowing exactly how to do it. But at the same time, it allows you to exercise your creativity and create maybe configurations that nobody's come up with. I haven't seen this one anywhere, the sort of cloak cape thing. And I doubt I will, because I sort of accidentally stumbled into it and was happy with it. But I guess that's part of the fun of the figures and, you know, playing with them and configuring them in different ways so that no two are alike. Okay, so the Elf Ranger is another hooded, stealthy looking figure, and he's on this male buck from Advent of Decay Kickstarter, which makes him look very, you know, wiry and stealthy and sleek. And he comes with a quiver for his arrows, you know, dark forest green. And what I've done is I've slipped that on to the adapter. I don't know if it's the adapter piece, but anyway, it sticks into that hole in his back and allows him to hold his quiver on his back while having his cape and his cloak. I don't know if I necessarily recommend that configuration, because you could probably put a hole in the cape, but if you carefully bunch up the fabric and stick it in the hole before you pop that little thing in, you might be able to do it. But don't blame me if you somehow end up screwing up and making a hole in the cape. I imagine somebody's running through the forest on their adventures, you know, Robin Hood or whatever. They're going to tatter their cape up eventually. So I'm not too worried about having a cape with a few holes in it or whatever. But you might be. So I imagine this guy spends a lot of time in the Elven Forest. The color scheme is primarily green with a nice wash to show all the details in the sculpt. This is the torso shared by Grisha the Slitherer, which is one of the neatest figures in the line. But in this, it goes really, really nice with this belt and the buckle configuration, and he just looks great. He's got these piercing, magical looking green eyes that peer out from under the hood, and that is pretty cool. It adds to the air of mystery, and I think there are some other members of Mythic Legions with green eyes. For one, Faunus has those same piercing green eyes, so I don't know whether that's part of the mythos or whatever, but it's very, very cool. Kind of like in Dune, where I guess the Fremen or Freemen, however you call it, because of their spice ingestion and get dark blue eyes, or whatever. Maybe there's something about Evergrey Forest or wherever they live and the magic there that imbues their eyes with that sort of bright green hue. Anyway, he comes with an alternate head as well, and he comes with additional accessories as well. So let me show you what those look like. Okay, you have a bow. Of course, you can't have an elf ranger without a bow, right? And this is a beautiful, beautiful sculpt, and it's painted really, really nicely. I love that copper color. It coordinates well with his, outfit as well. I guess he could hold that in either hand. Let me put it on his right hand here. I love the elven design. I love how curvy it is and all of that. It's beautiful to look at, and congratulations on whoever it is that designed that. I think it was probably 3D modeled and printed, because I don't think that Cornboy, who does a lot of the weapons, would be able to just do that on a lathe or whatever. But it also comes with this coppery arrow. Remember when I was doing the review of Xylona and I misplaced her arrow? It knocks like that. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it would probably go on the other hand. The arrow can knock on either side of the bow, right? So let me see. Okay, put his hand over the string and then knock the arrow there. Oops. It works, folks. Trust me, I'm just a very clumsy person. So there, and then he can use his other hand to pull the string. Although I'm not sure with the way I've configured his cape that he would be able to do that, but that's what he looks like. He's getting ready to pull that string. I don't recommend pulling on the string too much. It is elastic, right? You can put it behind the arrow like that, but I wouldn't recommend that because it's going to be delicate and you could very easily break the elastic, and I don't think there's any reason for it. And just say the arrow comes shooting out and shoots you in the eyeball and you lose your eye. That's your own darn fault, right? So for safety's sake, I say just go ahead and knock the arrow and leave the string like that, and just use your imagination for that. So that's the bow. Then we also have a sword, which is nothing fancy, just a regular medium-sized sword. And then we have a dagger, which is even less fancy and for some reason has wash on it. I guess it's because he's a ranger and he's traipsing through the forest, so he doesn't keep his weapons as immaculate as he normally wood, and then you have the weapons belt, or the belt holder, which you could put around his waist. You could stick the sword on there. You could stick, the dagger on there. You could stick the quiver on there if you wanted it to go on the front or whatever. So those are those accessories. But last but not least, let's talk about the alternate head that this guy comes front with. I'll pop his head out there, and the head does not come out of the hood. Okay, let me try this again. Let me try to keep the neck in the neck peg and then just remove the head there. Okay. Yeah, because we get one neck, but we get two heads. So here's the new head. And he's got long hair and a ponytail. And who does that remind you of? Although, any similarity to any characters, real or imagined or fictional, is entirely coincidental. To me, that looks a lot like Legolas from Lord of the Rings. It's a great sculpt. Look at all the individual hairs there and the braid, how beautifully that's sculpted. I hope the camera can pick up all the nuances there, but he's a good looking elf, nicely painted. I love the look of grim determination on his face, very serious. The brows are arched, the mouth is pursed, and he's ready for action. So that might look like somebody that but obviously, of course, entirely coincidental. So yeah, two heads. You can have two elf rangers if you want, or just one. I want to show you a neat thing I saw on the boards that somebody came up with. It was either on the Fantastic exclusive boards, or maybe it was on one of the Mythic Legion collectors sites on the internet. But they're like, oh, now we know why his eyes are green, and they gave him this. It's not an accessory that comes with him. This is a Green Lantern accessory that came with, I think this is Kyle Rayner. But I think that's kind of cool because it really pops, and it's translucent green, and it makes him look like he's got some sort of magical power. To figure out a way to make that stick in there, I don't know, maybe this Lego lass is going to take this away from Kyle Rayner and use it in his battles. Let's see here, how can we, let's make it stick in there. Kind of a cool idea. Whoever it is that came up with it, I don't have your name, but thanks for sharing it. Part of the fun is, like I said, figuring out different ways to configure the figures and seeing what other people come up with, and that's what makes Mythic Legions, I think, the best line ever. And this one of the very, very cool fan requested popular figures in the line. Is the Wiz signing out.